Hi, good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for joining. I'm Natalie. I'm an F2 currently working in Lincolnshire Hospital. Thank you for joining us for that episode of Communication Skills Made for IMG. So for this session, we're going to talk about dealing with difficult situation, specifically angry patients or relatives. Okay. So this is the content that we're going to cover in our session. So the first one is recognition, second, adjustment and style of communication, third, comprehend the reasons behind their anger, fourth, addressing their anger, and fifth, we'll show you a few challenging situations. Okay. So here are some examples of reason why patients or their relatives may become angry. So the first one would be communication breakdown. So sometimes patients or their relatives become really frustrated because they think that there's a lack of clear and effective communication regarding their condition, treatment option, or care plan. So it's always important to communicate, make sure that your patient or the family is aware what's going on. Okay, just to keep them in the loop. So the second one is perceived medical errors or negligence. So patients and relatives may become angry if they believe that mistakes were made in their medical care, such as misdiagnosis or medication errors. So if that sort of situation really occur, it's best to communicate to them, be open to them, and also address whatever concerns that they have. Okay, and do not try to just brush them off. Okay, and the third one would be lack of empathy or compassion. So anger can result from patients feeling that healthcare providers are not showing adequate empathy, compassion, or understanding towards their pain, concerns, or emotional needs. So it's always good to talk to the patient, spend some time listening to their concerns, make sure that you address them accordingly as well, just so that your patient will feel that you actually care about them and actually spend time explaining whatever issue or diagnosis that they have. Okay, and the last one would be unsatisfactory quality of care. So oftentimes, patient may feel angry if they feel that the quality of care provided falls short of their expectations, or if they experience issues such as inadequate pain management or unresponsive staff. So, um, in, just to keep in mind that regardless of how busy you are, it's always best to respond to them and do not ignore their concerns, because sometimes that will perceive as, you not listening to them, you're not providing the standard of care that they should have. So it's best to just make sure that they get the care they need. If they're in pain, make sure that you're controlling the pain, or if they have concerns, make sure you attend to them accordingly as well. Okay. So the first one, recognition. So oftentimes when patients are frustrated, you could see from their body languages, from the things that they tell you, and these are just a few examples of things that you should be looking out. So the first one is things like loud speech, um, or shouting. So the patient might have verbal aggression as well. So patient may use harsh or aggressive language. Um, sometimes they may even raise their voice or engage in shouting or yelling. And moving on is things like hostile body languages. So patients' body language may become very tense and aggressive. Sometimes they may even clench their fist, cross their arms, or exhibit other signs of physical tension. And moving on, patient might become really defensive or confrontational. Um, or sometimes they might even actually argue with you and become really confrontational in their interactions with you or other healthcare professionals that are present. Um, and also they might actually have agitated movements like restlessness, pacing, fidgeting, which could indicate heightened anger. So this sort of patient will always exhibit restless or erratic movements. Okay. And also, for angry patient, they most often speak really rapidly or forcefully, and also emphasizing their points with really strong gestures. Okay. So adjustment, it is crucial for us to make adjustment to our communication skill just to resolve or just to calm the whole situation down. So what you want to do is remain calm and composed. Make sure that you're actively listening to your patient's concern. Show genuine interest in understanding their concerns or allowing them to express their feelings without any interruption. And also always remember to use empathetic language. Employ language that conveys empathy and understanding. Just like what we mentioned in our previous session, there are a few example of empathetic phrases that we could use in such situation, just to diffuse that sort of tension that you may have with your patient. Okay. And also always remember to validate their emotions by acknowledging their frustration or anger and assure them that concerns are being heard. Okay. And also remember to always adjust your tone. Make sure that you're speaking in a soft and soothing tone. And speaking slowly sometimes can help to convey a sense of calmness and diffuse the intensity of the situation. Okay. And in situation like this, we might sometimes be impatient. So it's always mindful to um be mindful of the words that you use, opting for neutral and non-confrontational language, and make sure you avoid defensive or argumentative statements, as they can actually escalate your patient's or the relative's anger even faster. Okay. Um, and also treat the patient with respect and courtesy throughout the whole interaction. Make sure you remain polite and professional throughout and avoid any sort of condescending or dismissive remarks. Okay, so you could also offer apologies only when it's appropriate. So in situation where there was a mistake or error that has been done, um, by you or someone from part of the team, offer them a sincere apology. Because apologizing can help to actually validate the patient's feeling and demonstrate a commitment to resolving the issue. Okay. So third will be identify what sort of reasons behind their anger. Okay. So in situation like this where you want to know more about the reasons why they are mad, they are frustrated or upset, it's always good to ask them open-ended question. So you want to say things like, could you tell me more about what has happened? What is it about the situation that has made you feel this way? So you sort of encourage them to tell you more. And also, it's important not to stop them or interrupt them when they are speaking as well. All right. And the other thing is make sure that you're showing empathy and validation at all times. So by telling them things like, I understand that you're feeling frustrated, it sounds like you're upset about the situation, that sort of actually make the patient feel that they are heard and you actually care about whatever that they are saying to you. Okay. And also you want to repeat or summarize whatever that the patient or relative has said to you and show that you understand their perspective correctly. So for example, you could say, if I understand you correctly, you're upset because, that sort of thing, which show that you're actually listening to whatever they tell you. Um, so the fourth one would be creating a safe environment. So you want to foster a safe and non-judgmental environment where patients or the relatives will feel comfortable expressing their emotions to you. and also reassure them that their concerns will be taken seriously and that you're always there to provide help and support. Okay, and last but not least will be to seek clarification. So if you're unsure, um, despite them telling you whatever that has happened, it's always good to make sure um to tell them that you're unsure about the reasons behind their anger, and also ask them politely for clarification. So you can say something like, I want to make sure I understood your concerns fully. Could you please explain a bit more what has upset you? And sometimes I'm sure a patient will be more than happy to tell you if you ask them politely. Okay. So moving on to the fourth point, my colleague Oscar will take over. Okay, thank you.
Hey, hi, Oscar here. Just continuing from what we have left off from Natalie. So, the fourth part that we're talking about how to respond, so that now that we have gathered some information about their anger, and you feel like they have expressed what they needed to, you have to start to respond to their anger and the situation they have mentioned. Okay, so we generally break it down into four steps, or should I say four aspects that we should really pay attention to. So first of all, empathy. You can say things like based on everything you share, it's understandable that you are experiencing those feelings. It seems like you're having a lot going on in your life right now, and it's natural for you to be feeling angry. So you are acknowledging their emotions, make them feel included so that they are open to you. They feel like you have a connection between the two of you so that you can proceed. They can open up to you. Second, very importantly, apologize. This doesn't mean that you necessarily have done something wrong, but then I feel like this is really nice that to move forward in the conversation that you just express that you're sorry for whatever has happened, but you are here to help him to improve things. Third point here, thank the patient. It's never easy to share your feeling with someone. So if they have opened up to us and they've shared with us whatever they have gone through, I believe they we should thank the patient. You can say things like thank you for sharing how you feel with me. It's important I understand how you feel so we can work together to help. And last but not least, always encourage questions or try to brainstorm solutions with the patient together. So moving forward, we can move away the trigger that has caused them to be in such difficult emotion. Okay, so number five, challenging situations. So we're just gonna be going through some example scenario. So if let's say if you feel threatened by an angry patient or relative, I believe at any point of a career, this is inevitable. I personally have had a few times where the patient was angry, they were threatening to hit me because they want to leave the hospital, they might not have capacity. So importantly, there are a few things you have to take note. First of all, you must remove yourself from the situation and prioritize your own safety. So I actually had a friend, he was covering the psychiatry ward and there was a patient who was aggressive. He tried to calm the patient down and the patient actually assaulted him and he ended up in the emergency department. So prioritize your own safety, remove yourself from the situation, try to avoid any sort of physical confrontation with the patients or relative. If you can see, the conversation escalating, or if you witness them becoming angrier, start to lose control, act before it's too late, make an excuse and leave if you have to, because trust me, you do not want to get into the trouble. No matter if it's, you're getting physically assaulted or even, they can say nasty words. Okay. Let's say if we have done something wrong, your colleagues to be blamed. So we can try not to get too defensive about the services that we have done. The patient might be feeling angry, because we have done something wrong. Try to use neutral phrases, try not to share so much of your personal opinion about your colleague's performance. Things like, I'm sorry this has happened, may be useful in this kind of scenario. And ideally, once you calm the patient down, to try to connect the colleague who made the mistake with the patient. And of course not on top, not at the heat of the moment where the patient was still angry. Try to discal de-escalate things before, try to initiate this kind of conversation. Okay. Other than that, I think at some part of our career, a patient or relative will come to us and then they wish to file a complaint. This can be quite difficult. I remember having this last year where a nurse was telling me that she was going to file a complaint because she thinks I didn't do a good job at the patient who was started on end of life. I was quite flustered. It was one of the, I think it was the first time. So there are a few things. I think it applies to the example I've given as well. First, explore why. Why? Hi, I'm really sorry. I think we got cut off because of a connection issue. So I will just try to continue for where I left off. So basically, when someone wants to file a complaint, there is very limited things that we can do to stop them, and we shouldn't aim to stop them. But I would say explore why and try to find out the issue, and if you can offer any solution. Uh, and I know most of us are really familiar if you have done PALS, Patient Advice and Liaison Service is the place to go, and that's the place you should direct your patient to if they have a complaint. Okay, moving on. So the one of the message that I want to bring across, never ignore how you feel. So understand dealing with conflict is difficult, can contribute significantly to our own stress level. Um, but be mindful of how this interaction can make you feel and take the necessary steps to be aware or relax. Talking to a colleague, taking a short break from clinical environment usually helps. Uh, and talking to your supervisors, if you're a junior trainee, which you'll be assigned to, uh, prioritize yourself because uh if you let all these things get to you, uh, eventually you find yourself not enjoying medicine, and that's the last thing we want. Okay. To close, before we close the session, I would like to share a video with you guys. On how he deal with difficult patient. Okay, I'm just gonna stop the video right here. This is just merely an example of how you can deal with a angry deal with an angry patient. I'm not saying everyone should follow the same way that what he did, and I believe that there are some parts maybe you don't agree, maybe you feel like he should have addressed the feeling first. You might be thinking he's a bit too confrontational, but I feel like everyone would eventually have their own style, and you just have to get more experience and it shapes how you deal with this kind of patient. Okay, so thank you so much for coming to our session. I'm just gonna stop the recording now and we'll open the floor for any questions.